Good evening, everyone. Let's start one more session, a special session for the beginning of the year. We know that we are all apprehensive about the issues that are occurring in our world, especially in regard to the United States and Iran. It was also a surprise to us on the spiritual level, as these issues were outside our planning. But we, spirits of light, acted quickly to try to smooth out any greater impact on the material plane and on the spiritual plane. We believe that there has been unwanted deaths, regrettably, but we would like to calm all human beings because nothing special is expected to happen. In order for everyone to know, whenever there is a war or any event of great proportions, such as what occurred in the two great world wars, it is already known on the spiritual plane that several casualties would happen, and we, on the spiritual level, seek to prepare ourselves to receive the souls disembodied from these events. We were on standby when this occurred in the Great World Wars, as was well recorded in the film and in the book, very well psychographed through our great master Francisco Cândido Xavier, in the book and film Nosso Lar, Astral City, A Spiritual Journey. We believe that these issues that occurred between the United States and Iran will not take shape as they have in the last two major wars. At least the Ascended Masters have not informed us anything about it. Obviously, these issues would have been informed to us well in advance so that we would be prepared. So I tell you to be calm, because we believe that nothing of global proportions can occur at this time, okay? Making use of this example about the two great wars, we can mention a little about what occurred in those fateful moments and all the effort that was made to avoid harm, to avoid the casualties, the great losses. In those moments, there was an extremely large negative energy, an energetic egregor rushing, which prevented us from using our influences on the people or on the main leaders who made the decisions about these conflicts. It is important to mention that here on the spiritual level, we learn a lot from these two regretful episodes of humanity, and that with this learning, we look for ways to avoid this greater evil, which is a world war. For this reason, we will prevent these energy egregors from growing to a level of causing a new world war. Well before that happens, we will precipitate these energies. Therefore, we are closely following each of the great leaders of both countries and seeking to somehow send messages through intuitions, when possible, directly to the great leaders. However, they are not always willing to follow their intuitions. This depends a lot on how they were brought up. It depends a lot on their education, on the situations that these human beings have gone through. Like any human being, great leaders can also be closer to the beings of light, vibrating in an energetic frequency that facilitates communication. Or they can be extremely distant with a dense vibration that prevents us from communicating. Thus, when the possibility of direct communication is prevented, we seek other human beings of close contact to inform through intuition and try to influence these great leaders through these other people. For a long time, a very narrow group of people have been prepared to fulfill this exact function of being close to the great leaders, to influence them in their choices. They are groups of people who have been prepared for many years, and this preparation was passed down from generation to generation to family groups or groups of people with this purpose. You may have heard a lot of things about these groups of people. These groups of people are selected carefully through intuitions of our beings of light, and these groups of people form what is now known as secret societies. In fact, it is not about a confidential matter. It is about human beings who are intuited more easily by our beings of light, and this group of people has the function of preparing their members so that they vibrate on a frequency that enables our communication. In this new age, in the age we are beginning, we, spirits of light, want more and more to increase this range of people, to bring in more people who are prepared for us to communicate in an easier way. We have mentioned here a few times about the issue of the indigo children, of the crystal children, who now are no longer children and who have this function. They are prepared human beings who have had their incarnations or reincarnations planned so that this greater number of people would gradually increase. Considering all the hypotheses, all the risks, the idea is that these societies, this group of people so well consolidated, be preserved. All their questions, all their rituals, all the philosophy they have been following will not be altered, so that we do not run the risk of extinction of these successful groups in the material world. However, through the incarnation of special people, such as indigo children and crystal children, the idea is to try to better disseminate this issue of increasing more and more the amount of people vibrating at a frequency appropriate for our communication. We can say that it would be another part of us, beings of light, another initiative, another action to increase the number of people, okay? As mentioned in these two initiatives, we also have several other initiatives around the world, so that in this new age, we will have a greater effectiveness in our communication with human beings. It is important to mention that all these initiatives were very well studied and were planned by us, spirits of light. Moreover, at the request of the Ascended Masters. Of course, these sessions that we are holding are also another initiative for this same goal. So these issues are important for all human beings to know that we, beings of light, are always working to contribute more and more to the evolution of the material world. Sometimes initiatives are successful, and sometimes they are not as successful. But it is important to say that in this new age, we are rather more optimistic about the initiatives being taken. As we said earlier, initiatives that did not work are also truly relevant to learning, to our learning. So, we learned a lot during all these years when the human being is there present on Earth. Of course, with technological evolution and spiritual evolution, we have gone through different situations throughout the existence of humanity. It is important to mention that a long time ago, we were on the verge of having a war. In the last century and in the mid-80s to mid-90s. We had to make a very big effort, intense communication to avoid a global confrontation. Thank God we were very successful. Therefore, this makes us quite optimistic about the new age, because we know that through these successful initiatives, we can better choose the directions, the paths we must follow to avoid greater harm. After this great victory of the spiritual plane, we can say that there was a greater openness which humanity granted us for a more effective communication. Thus, the tendency is that we can increasingly influence human beings who have certain degrees of leadership, so that humanity can move towards evolution. We are quite optimistic, and we are working more and more, opening several initiatives. Very well, all beings of light, Master Tanaka, Mr. Channel. That being said, I believe that we can happily end another extraordinarily successful session in this great initiative planned by our Ascended Masters and so well accepted by all of the Brotherhoods of Light present here, all associated in one way or another with the Brasilis land, our immense Brazil. Thank you very much to all of you. May you have a great week. Thank God.